Hey guys, happy Wednesday. The holiday weekend is really throwing me off. So tonight I'm super excited because we are going to be welcoming guest chef Sarah from Edible Ambition live, and she is going to be showing us how to make her insanely delicious and easy garden salad pizza with pumpkin seed pesto. So I'm super pumped because normally I save pizza for the weekend, but this week is hitting in the middle of the week, which I am really excited about because pizza is one of those foods that I can never, ever have enough of. And, I've tried homemade crusts before and they haven't always turned out the way that I want them to. So I'm super excited to try this one from Sarah that is completely vegan and gluten-free too, and is actually made on the stove, which is so fun. So here she is. Let's go. Sarah. Hi.
Hey,
How are you?
good.
I was just saying how excited I am to be having pizza in the middle of the week because usually it's like a Friday night treat for me, but yours is so healthy that I don't even consider it an indulgence. I'm so excited to make this. Um,
Yay.
so yeah, yeah. So as people are tuning in, I just wanted to, I put a title up there for you guys so you know what we're making at all times. For those of you who are cooking along, hopefully you roasted some veggies. We're going to show you how to make the crust. So anyways, I'm super excited that you're joining me tonight, and um, I can't believe that we haven't met in person because you're in Orlando. We've connected
I
a few
know.
times, like over the past years,
Yeah,
and just haven't made that connection in person. But I'm excited to be connecting
yes,
virtually.
virtually. One day
Yeah,
it'll be in person.
I know, I know. So let's go ahead and get started. But before we
Yeah,
do, maybe you can share a little bit about yourself and what you do. I think your job is so interesting and so impactful in the community. So you can kind of talk a little bit about that. And for those of you who didn't catch the blog post earlier this week, Sarah shared the recipe on my blog, fitliveeats.com, as part of the collective series. So the goal is really to feature other amazing chefs and food and wellness entrepreneurs in this space because I'm sure you get tired of hearing from me all the time. So without further ado, this is Sarah from Edible Ambition. If you're not following her, go ahead and do that after the live. And don't worry, if you're not cooking along with us, the video will be shared to my IGTV, so you can
awesome.
always tune in, yep, and cook later. Um, so just some housekeeping things, Sarah. I will stay on top of the comments, so don't worry
Oh,
about trying
awesome.
to, yeah. If someone has a question, I'll just interrupt you and ask you. Um, and
Perfect.
we have an hour, and then it cuts off. So you
Right.
think
Okay.
that's a lot of
We'll
time,
definitely
and then
wrap
we
it
get
in.
going. Yeah.
Yeah, until we get talking.
Yep.
But
Yep.
yeah, no,
So
thank you, Carly, so much for inviting me on your collective series. Super
you're
pumped
welcome.
about cooking together, even though it is virtually. But yeah, again, my name is Sarah, and right now I'm working at Edible Education Experience, which is a total honor. It is a nonprofit here locally in Orlando, Florida, and I get the opportunity to work with students and with the community. We have a seed to table approach towards food, and we have a culinary garden at our facility as well as a kitchen house. So I get to work hands on with children, adults, all ages, and that's really kind of sparked my interest in the culinary arts. And it's always just been kind of, a side passion hobby, but I've totally been able to bring it to light now and hopefully be able to do more collaborations like this and really utilize social media to its advantages. So excited
Awesome.
to be here. Yeah.
Yeah. And I saw that you brought home some basil from the garden.
I did, yes. So that was my little featured item. I was so fortunate. Brad, our garden educator, said, go ahead and bring some home. You're going to need that for your pesto. So I
I
brought
love
home
it.
some African blue basil. So I'm going to be incorporating that into the pesto today. So
Very
yeah,
cool.
yeah.
Okay, well, take it away. I'm going to
Okay,
be following you as
perfect.
you're teaching what you're doing. And again, if people have questions, ask them in the comment box. I'll stay on
Okay,
top of that. And then I'll relay them to Sarah as we go.
perfect. I'm just gonna prop up my iPad so you can get a better view
Okay, cool. I know the
of,
dual screen kind of cuts off some of the
yeah, let's see if
original
that helps a little
viewplay.
bit. Well, I'll hold up ingredients as we go along, but we are gonna start with the
Okay,
pizza
and
dough
people
so
can
that can
see
kind of
my
set.
board and stuff too.
Oh, perfect. Okay, perfect. Okay, so we'll get out a medium to large size bowl. We're gonna be adding all the mixings to that. Starting with, we have coconut flour and arrowroot flour or arrowroot starch. That's going to be our main ingredients for the dough. So I have just different varieties that I get from Publix or any grocery store. Okay, so you're a big fan of Bob Red Mills, I can see. I love his stuff.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, we'll measure that first. So for the flour, we're looking at a half a cup. Get that
Half a
going.
cup of arrowroot starch, right?
Arrowroot, or it can be tapioca, whatever
Okay.
is in your kitchen. I grab my tapioca. So either way,
Oh,
they're both
nice.
great options. They're very similar to cornstarch, as you know, I'm sure, Carly. It does a really good job as a thickening agent. I use a lot for sauces too.
Yeah.
Um, so we'll be using that today.
It's one of my favorite swaps for cornstarch.
Yes, definitely. And it has like a neutral flavor too. And I believe that there's more nutrient density to it, with there being some fiber aspect versus cornstarch sometimes can be a little processed. So we're looking at the full cup of the arrowroot or tapioca. And then for the coconut flour, that is a half a cup.
So on my blog recipe, it has a half cup of arrowroot and a quarter cup of coconut flour. So are you
Uh-oh.
doubling it?
I might be doubling it.
Okay. No big deal. It's still going to
That's
make great dough. So if someone didn't have coconut flour or arrowroot on hand, is there another flour they can sub in, or are those kind of what you recommend?
Those are what I use for this recipe. Now I have used almond flour as another alternative, as a gluten-free flour. And so that's always a good option. You know, going back to the cornstarch, you could use that if you wanted. I just really like the texture of coconut flour, and it holds in a lot of moisture. So with that being said, this dough tends to be a little softer, kind of like a hybrid between, if you've ever heard of a soca, it's made in French cuisine, or just your classic flatbread, kind of like a thin non-flatbread. So
Okay.
kind of a unique dough, but so it might be a knife and fork situation at the end, but I will just like toast it extra long if we need it to be a little firmer.
It's okay.
All
The
right.
pizza is really about the toppings and the cheese.
Yeah, right? Exactly. So you can make it super tasty that way, just add more cheese.
Yeah.
So then we have the coconut milk. So I just did full fat coconut milk. That's going to be added to our flour mixture.
Okay. And how much?
And we're looking at 2 cups, but now I think I doubled my recipe. So let me double check that so that we're not keeping you guys, throwing
It's
you guys
okay.
off.
I had 1 cup, so I'm just gonna half everything you say.
So it's
So
actually
you're just
going to
gonna
be
make
one
more dough.
cup of your coconut milk. All right.
Okay, so we have the coconut flour, we have the arrowroot starch, and the coconut milk.
Yep. And then next we're going to add the apple cider vinegar. So that's kind of like our, that's going to be kind of the sour component to this dish. And that is going to be, you're looking at 1 teaspoon.
Okay. So is this kind of like a baked recipe where you recommend people really kind of measuring out everything, or, I'm I'm not a big baker because I don't like to do that. So I
Yeah.
kind of eyeball, or can people eyeball?
You can definitely eyeball it. You treat it like this pancake mix, like, because we're going to be doing it on the stovetop, where if you like the thicker consistency, thicker batter, it might fluff up, be, a half, a quarter inch thick in flour. Or if you want it more thin, like a flatbread, even a crepe, maybe, you can, add more milk or even water. If you don't have a full
Okay.
fat coconut milk on hand, you could use water. Yep.
Got it.
So we have the flours, coconut milk, apple cider vinegar. We're going to add our garlic powder. Be our next there. So we're going to do a half a teaspoon.
Never get enough of that stuff.
Yeah, and you'll see we'll be adding a lot more to the pesto. So that's always, at your discretion. Add more or less if you'd like. And that, of course, will be, part of the pungent part to the crust there, the dough. And then to kind of make it more flavorful too, we're going to be adding in some dry herbs. So same as the garlic powder, we have half of a teaspoon of our dry oregano and half a teaspoon of parsley. And again, if you don't have either of those, you can sub for either fresh herbs or even like rosemary or any other flavored combos you want.
Awesome.
So.
I love oregano. It's like the traditional pizza flavoring.
Definitely. Yeah, that's the first thing I think of, as a kid, like going out for pizza night and adding some extra oregano to a dish. Yep.
Could you add nutritional yeast to the crust?
Absolutely. Yeah. No, so since this is plant-based, we are going to be incorporating nutritional yeast into the pesto, kind of as that cheesy flavor substitute. So you could definitely add it. Again, that's where, like you said, like with baking versus cooking, you can kind of play it by ear, like what you're kind of more in the mood for and what do you want to add for flavor. So yeah, definitely add nutritional yeast.
I can never get enough, so I think I may add some to my crust. See how, or not. I don't know where it is. Oh, it's already out for my pesto.
It's ready. It's ready for the pesto. That's a good idea. I'll add some too. We'll experiment together.
I mean, anyone who has ever cooked with me knows how much I love this stuff, and we can talk more about the health benefits of it later once we get this sitting and mingling together.
Yeah, perfect. So on the recipe, I also have 2 to 4 teaspoons of water. So that is kind of at your discretion. We'll hold off on the water till we're about to add the batter to the pan. So like my consistency right now is pretty thick.
Oh yeah, see mine?
So I'm going to I might add a little bit more to mine. Okay. Yeah, see how it changes. And again, I'm making mine double batch, so mine is a little bit larger. I have to feed a hungry fiance, so I'm making extra stuff for the house. And also, if you're not feeding a bunch of people and maybe you're just doing one of the mini pizzas tonight, you can always save the batter in your fridge for up to 5 days. So it's great, something where you could make it, fresh tomorrow if you don't want to cook it all tonight. So that's always an option too. It's
probably better fresh, right? I mean,
yeah, I think so.
Pizza is good, but I mean that's like traditional pizza. I feel like this pizza would probably be better freshly cooked.
Definitely, it's more fluffy. It has a better texture to it. And right now I'm just adding the salt and pepper to taste, so I don't really put a strict measurement on that either.
So what do we want the consistency to ultimately look like?
So, all right, I'm going to add a bit of my water now, and I'll show you here.
I'm just wondering if I need to add more flour or
okay. Not. So I'm going to add a little bit more water, and then I'll bring it up to the screen so you guys can see it.
Cool.
All right. Once you make a recipe so many times, you just kind of have that like natural feel for like, all right, this is right. I know I'm at the right texture and moisture point.
And
Okay.
it's amazing too, like even when you nail the recipe and you write it down and then someone else makes it, it always ends up a little bit different. I've noticed that like with my
Yeah.
private chef meal prep business, I have two chefs that help me. And every
Okay.
time we all make like the same recipe, it
Mm-hmm.
all
Turns out
always is
different.
a little bit different. Yeah, even though we're following the same recipe. So we
That's
just,
so funny.
I guess we all just put our own touch on things.
There you go. That's the key. Okay, so it's kind of drippy,
Okay,
kind of runny.
okay,
Yeah.
cool. So we just let that hang out and set it aside, right?
Yep. So we're gonna put that to the side, let it rest. It might even thicken up more with the full fat coconut milk is definitely gonna add some thickness to it. So I'm gonna put mine off to the side and I'll be right back.
Yeah, and the coconut
Okay.
flour and the arrowroot both absorb so much moisture. They're
Yes.
like a sponge. So even when you let it sit, it will continue to kind of thicken, I'm sure.
Yes, definitely. So we'll kind of revisit that in a few minutes after we're done with the pesto and kind
Okay,
of determine if we need to add more moisture to it, more water.
cool.
So moving right along, my favorite part is the pesto. So we got some fresh, fresh greens for this recipe. Again, I
So
have my lovely basil here.
someone has a
And
question real quick about the crust. If it's
yeah,
kind
what's
of
that?
soupy, should they add more coconut or arrowroot flour? Which one would you
I would
suggest?
probably do arrowroot, just because that starch tends to bind faster than the coconut flour, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
So I would try adding a little bit more of that first and kind of experimenting back and forth between the flour, and if you do need to thicken it later or thin it out later, you can add more liquid.
Yeah, and coconut
Yeah.
flour can make things kind of gritty.
Yeah.
So I would lead with the arrowroot too because it just
It's
emulsifies a little bit
fine.
better.
It's very fine. Yep, I agree. And it's neutral too, so it's not gonna overtake any other flavors or anything. So, oh yeah,
Cool.
you're welcome, Amanda. All right, so I'm laying out my ingredients for the pesto now.
Okay.
I got some organic baby arugula. I'll
Mm-hmm.
just hold this up. I keep forgetting that the screen doesn't see at my waistline. Okay, so we got organic arugula, and we're looking at about 4 cups of that. That's going to be the bulk of the pesto. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring over my blender.
And you can use a blender or a food processor for
Yeah,
this. I'm making half the
definitely.
recipe, so I have this little like mini food
Oh,
chopper
I
thing.
love those. Yes, that got me through college, through undergrad. I had a mini food processor
Yeah.
like that. I would try to make the biggest batches of like nut butter or hummus, and it was a trooper. It lasted for like 5 years, and I had to
Yeah.
pitch it eventually.
Yep. I
But
never
they're
used
powerful.
it until culinary school, and then I realized these little holes at the top, you can drip oil through it, and I thought that is genius. I never knew that. So then, ever since then, I've used the mini chopper, and it's so much easier to clean when you're doing smaller batch
Yes,
quantities. So,
absolutely.
okay,
So
pesto.
yeah, so you guys were going to be doing 2 cups of the arugula. Again, I'm doubling it, so I was going to make a little extra, but just to kind of demonstrate, I just loosely pack it, or a handful is going to roughly be a cup size.
And could you substitute this if, like, you couldn't find arugula? Can you use spinach or kale or a different kind of green?
Yeah, I would recommend spinach if you can. Kale tends to be kind of a rough, leafy green on digestion as far as having it raw. So I prefer to stay away from the kale in some of these type recipes, but if that's all you have on hand, you can definitely give it a shot.
Cool.
I chose arugula, baby arugula, because it's kind of like a spring summer leafy green right now, trying to do more
Yeah.
in-season food. So thought that was an appropriate one.
And it has a little bit of a bite to it, which I love.
It does, kind of peppery and
Uh-huh.
that's a little bitter too. So I do. I love arugula, and that's also going to be our salad topper at the end for our pizza. So it's cool because we're incorporating it in 2 ways. And then for our basil, we're looking at a half a cup of fresh basil.
And a tip for you guys, if you get a package of herbs at the grocery store, one of these containers is usually half a cup. So
perfect. That's a great tip. I didn't even know that myself. I'm doing a little combo. So I did buy some organic full leaf basil from the store, and then I have a bit of the garden basil from Edible Education Experience. So that's going to add an interesting flavor, I'm sure, but it'll be good.
You can never go wrong with garden fresh produce.
Oh, for sure. And honestly, like any kind of like hodgepodge of a, sauce or anything you're making with different fresh herbs always ends up turning out great. So grab a little bit more of that. Okay, so I got my basil, and then we're gonna do a half a cup of our pumpkin seeds. So I just store mine. I have mine in a mason jar here. You can get it typically in the bulk section of any grocery store, or I know like Trader Joe's is pretty good. They tend to have the pre Ziploc bags, kind of like what you have there.
Yeah.
So
anymore, so I do Instacart for so many of my groceries because I have probably 8 orders open at one time. And right now with COVID, they're not doing bulk bin food.
Right.
So they're doing the prepackaged thing. But
I noticed that, yeah, with Whole Foods, a lot of them are pre-measured in the Ziploc. Yeah. So, yep, just gotta make do with what options we have.
Exactly.
Okay, check. So we have that. Now our favorite part, the 1/4 cup of nutritional yeast.
My favorite part.
That's right.
Do you want to talk about the nutritional benefits of nutritional yeast?
Yeah, right. I personally love nutritional yeast. It's great for those that are more plant-based or maybe vegan, vegetarian, that don't get a lot of B vitamins. It's really high in like B12. And I believe it has a good source of like potassium as well as calcium. So it's pretty nutrient dense in that regard. And it's thin and flaky, but it has a nice kind of almost cheesy, maybe a little cheddar like scent to it. So I think it's a very unique tool to use in the kitchen.
Yeah, it also has in 1 tablespoon about 5 grams of protein. So also really
another great protein source. Yeah.
Yeah, for people who do eat more plant-powered meals, it's a good way to get some added protein on your plate. And you can literally put it on anything savory. You can put it on your salads and your pesto, on your eggs and a dressing. I mean, anything.
Yeah, and I love it in dressings too. It really works well, like thickening it. I've made some vegan, like kind of like a nacho cheese. That's a common recipe I've seen around Instagram as far as displaying nutritional yeast and in a powerful way. So yeah. All right. So we have that. Then we're going to do our lemon. We're doing half of a lemon juiced. So I already have mine pre-sliced, cut in half, and my juicer. Let me grab that. And if you don't have a juicer, of course, or like a hand press juicer, you can always just do it by hand.
Yeah, and if you're doing it by hand, because I'm lazy to pull out my juicer, which is ironic because the juicer I always thought was for lazy cooks. Until I started doing it for a living and realized what a time saver it is. But if you're doing it by hand, I like to cut it or squeeze it cut side up so that it kind of catches the seeds at the top.
Smart. In worst case, you just blend up the seeds, right?
Yeah, exactly.
It'll just be some extra flavor there, yeah.
I remember thinking as a kid, I'm sure you get this question at your work, like if you're not supposed to eat the seed, like if it's not pumpkin seed, and say you ate an apple seed or a lemon seed.
Is it going to grow?
Thinking, is it going to grow inside me?
Absolutely. Yeah, no, we do actually get that question a lot. And the kids actually tend to love sour foods. I see them like, if we're preparing a dish and the garnish is a lemon slice, we'll see them like kind of picking at it. I'm like, how are you eating a lemon slice on its
Yeah.
own? Like it's so tart and sour, but it's funny. Okay, so our next ingredient is going to be olive oil. We're adding 2 tablespoons of that to the blender or food processor. Or you could sub avocado oil. That's also a great one. I love avocado oil for high heat cooking or baking, but olive oil is great as like a topper for any kind of salad or dressing. And then we're going to do our 2 cloves of garlic. You could add more if you like me. I love garlic. I'm actually going to do 3 because I have them all pre-peeled.
Oh, same. Huge lifesaver.
Yeah, yep. That definitely helps. little shortcuts there. And then our final is going to be 1/4 to a half a cup of water. So I'm going to start with probably about a half a cup. And that's just to help thin it out. All right.
And you all can always add more. So if you're not sure, start with a 1/4 cup, and then if it looks too thick, you can add more. It's no big deal.
Yeah, exactly. All right, and I think that's everything other than, you could add salt and pepper to taste. Kind of as we go, I always add just a little bit, and you can add more at the end if you need. Okay.
Yum.
I can smell the fresh herbs.
It smells so good. I have a pesto recipe on my blog that's a lot like this one, but I use sunflower seeds instead of pumpkin seeds.
Oh, fun. Okay.
And I love it because it's nut free. So a lot of times when clients have nut allergies, I can still, sub out for seeds and they can still enjoy things like pesto and stuff like that.
Yeah, honestly, any seed or nut, I've experimented with like cashews, almonds. It's kind of fun to mix up because they all have a slight different flavor profile. So
yeah,
I do like to do that. So I'm going to move this over to my blender here. It will get loud for a second, so bear with us, guys.
No worries.
I'll do that right now. Oh my gosh, it smells so good.
I hope you guys are making this with us or you plan to make it later because I can't give you smell-o-vision, but I wish I could. Look how yummy and fresh and vibrant that is.
And so I'm just putting mine to the side. I have it in a mason jar for the extra that I'm not going to be using in the recipe, but whatever works best for storage, you guys can do that. And then it'll also last in the fridge if you have extras. I'd say for up to 5 to 7 days is probably a good time frame there.
And I never have extra of pesto that long, but I've never done it, but I know that you can also freeze pesto in ice cube trays.
Yes, I love doing that.
Yeah, pull it out and flavor soups or sauces and things like that and have little like mini individual portions of pesto on hand.
Yeah, no, that is such a great tip, and I swear by freezing almost anything in an ice cube tray. I do that with avocados sometimes, then use it for smoothies. So nothing goes to waste or goes bad in the house here. All right, so clearing a little space. So for this recipe, this garden salad recipe, I chose some in-season veggies to roast as my topping. So if you haven't pre-roasted or sauteed any veggies, this would be a great time to do that. But my examples for the recipe were some sauteed. I have some mushrooms, just kind of a gourmet assortment. Got that again at the grocery store. Roasted on the stove or sauteed on the stove with a little olive oil, salt, and pepper. And then I have some zucchini. So we got some like summer flavors going on there.
Those are the same veggies I prepped.
I know,
Must be
I
on the
saw
same
that.
page.
Perfect. I made this salad, pizza salad, as green as possible. So
I
wanted
love
to
it.
throw in the zucchini there. Okay, so we have that part. So what we could do right now, while we're continuing to let our dough sit for another minute or so, is prep the salad garnish. So this is going to be going
Oh,
back
good
to
idea.
our arugula. And we'll let this kind of chill in the fridge. That's kind of the cold element, the cold raw food element to this dish too. So we're looking at about a handful per pizza. You can add more or less if you'd like. So I'm just adding that to a small glass bowl here. And then I'm going to get out the other half of a lemon to squeeze for kind of like a little dressing on top.
You can also make extra and just serve it on the side too, as like a salad.
Definitely, yep. Put it on the side. So let's see. We're looking at about 1 to 2 tablespoons of lemon on top. I'm just going to kind of eyeball it just so that all the leaves get a little bit of lemon juice on them. All right. And then we'll add a little bit of olive oil or any kind of oil you might have. I'm actually running out. Okay. And then salt and pepper to taste on that as well.
I never used to lightly salt my salads, and then I don't know why I started doing it, but I started doing it kind of recently, and it just completely brings all the flavors to life even
Yeah.
more. Like, I am not a fan of the table salt and pepper shaker and
Mm-hmm.
adding salt after your food is on the plate because it just creates like a salt coating. But for salads, there's something
Yeah.
about like a little sprinkle of good quality salt that just puts it over the edge.
I totally agree with that. Yeah, our salt and pepper, it stays in the kitchen, but it's definitely that added element to any salad dish for sure. So I'm gonna put this in the fridge, just let it chill, and we'll bring it back out at the end. Okay, so let's look at our dough and see how we're doing on that, or the batter, I guess. Batter for now, and then it'll be our pizza dough. All right. So mine's
And
still
you
pretty
said
thick.
it can be a little on the thinner side and it'll be more like a flatbread, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. So just as long as it's thick enough to where it can cook and you can flip it.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yep. And we're gonna bring. Actually, speaking of, we can go ahead. If you're ready, we can start turning on our stove just to kind of heat it up to a medium-high heat and kind of
Yeah.
get that warmed up.
What kind of pan do you recommend people use? Non-stick, stainless steel?
Yeah, I mean, I would say you could use a stainless steel. Mine's a non-stick, but if it helps, you could just do a little spray of coating on the pan just to keep it from sticking. I actually have one of my favorites is Chosen Foods. They have a avocado spray that's really clean, simple ingredients, and I'm gonna spray my pan with that. Just extra precaution on any sticking there. So.
That's one of my favorite little tests that I do in cooking classes is talk about cooking spray because I feel like so many of us grew up with and have Pam in our pantry.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
And so, but I deceive them because I buy a can of Trader Joe's coconut oil cooking spray. And so a lot of people get hung up on the kind of oil that's in the cooking spray and not what else
all the
might
ingredients.
Be in it. Yeah.
Yep.
But essentially the key is you want there to be one ingredient and that is the type of oil that's in the cooking spray.
Definitely. Yeah. And it's hard because, with marketing too, like they might trick you and it might be some bright, beautiful colored spray bottle and you're like, that has to be healthy. But yeah. Always check those ingredients, guys.
And I'm at fault of doing that too. I bought coconut water before and then brought it home and realized it was adding sugar, and so I
That's a
have
tricky
to.
one,
Yeah,
coconut water. Yeah.
I know. Just always read the ingredient list.
Yep. So I have my pan on kind of in the background here, and I'm just kind of testing it, letting it get about medium to high heat right now, just letting that get nice and warm, and keeping the batter close by so that it's ready to go in. So yeah, we got that done.
So,
Most of the prep work is done.
so for tips for when we go to flip the crust, what size do you recommend? Like I probably have a 10, 11-inch diameter pan. So how
Same.
big of a crust do you recommend?
Yeah, so I will typically start with 1/4 cup
Okay.
scoop to kind of get that going first. And there's different techniques, but like I'll either use the back of a spoon and kind of like spread it out a little bit so it does thin and kind of reach more of the outer border of the pan, the skillet.
Yeah.
So it cooks evenly, so it's not like more bulbed in the center. So
kind of like we're basically making pizza pancakes, like
yeah,
good-sized
yeah.
pizza pancakes.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Yep.
Awesome.
So you could even roll it up. I know, like as a kid, we would break the crust and like kind of flip it over and just take a big bite. So you can just kind of have fun with it. And I like this recipe too because it's good for kids, and the fact that I have it measured where it is like personal pizza crust. Everyone can kind of do their own toppings and their own cheese if they like, but everyone's making the same base dough. So it definitely is family friendly too.
I love that.
Yeah.
Anytime I'm on a date and we get pizza, I always fold it taco style because
Oh my
I
gosh,
feel like
yes.
it's not as messy that way. But
Yeah.
it's a little bit more like true pizza eating than with a fork and a knife.
Right. I love that. That's awesome. I feel like that's the New Yorker way. Right? That's funny. Well, all right. So how's your pan feeling? Mine's pretty hot.
Yeah,
I think I'm ready.
Have this burner thing that I take with me places, and it heats up really quickly. So
Okay.
Yeah, we're good. It's hot.
Perfect. So I'm gonna go ahead and scoop out 1/4 cup of my batter there and pour it directly in the center of the pan.
So mine is sizzling when it hits the pan. Is that
Yeah, that's perfect.
Okay.
Yeah. So once it sizzles, you can kind of turn down the heat to medium.
Okay.
We want that kind of initial burn. And if the batter isn't reaching the outer, close to like an inch to the outer rim of your pan, you can add just a touch more. But I always start with about 1/4 cup.
The bigger you make it, the trickier it is to flip.
That too. So, tread lightly on that as far as how big you want your pizza to be. You can always make a second personal pizza, right?
Yeah.
And so I'm using the back of a spoon to kind of smoothen it out. You will see that it's going to start to kind of raise a little bit. There's going to be some little air bubbles. And just kind of give it a nice light pat on top, smoothing it out.
Smells so good.
I know, I'm definitely hungry. I'm glad it's dinner time.
That's the best part about these lives is you make dinner and then we're done and just time to eat.
I know, that was very smart of you to plan it that way. So we'll leave it here for like another minute or so, and then we'll give it a flip.
So
okay.
I know like with pancakes, you kind of look for those bubbles around the edges and then, kind of a cooked edge and bubbles in the middle. What are you looking for to know when it's time to flip?
So you should see a little like kind of aeration, some of those bubbles coming through too with this batter. Um, Sometimes I'll kind of take a little sneak peek. You want to make sure that the outer edges are no longer raw, like you're seeing that they're starting to cook on the sides. Um, Mine's not quite there yet, but I'm able to slide the entire pizza like around in the pan, so I know it's at least firm getting there.
This looks so good. So mine's looking a little golden brown on the bottom, nowhere near burned, but does that mean it's time for me to flip?
Yeah, you can definitely flip it then. I think your burner's
Okay.
probably hotter than mine, so go for it.
Oh yeah.
Oh, perfect. Nice.
Guys, this looks amazing.
All right. So I flipped mine
It
too.
should
Yeah,
have
mine
been
has a little
brunch
bit.
food too.
Yeah. No, you could
Yeah.
definitely
Yeah.
do all. So yeah, I'm gonna let that sit for a little bit. I'm actually gonna put a lid on my pan so it can really kind of crisp up and firm the crust a little bit more.
If you don't have a
Okay.
lid that fits your pan, you can put a piece of aluminum foil over your pan.
Awesome.
I
That's
do
a great
that a
tip.
lot.
Yeah.
It's the
Sometimes.
only thing that I really use aluminum foil in my kitchen for.
Oh, nice. That is a good tip.
So
All
after
right.
the crust cooks, then we assemble.
Yes, yeah. So what we'll do is we'll add the pesto first, of course, as the base. Then we'll do our toppings, the cheese, and we'll kind of finish it off in either the oven or if you have a toaster oven, that's always an option too.
Awesome.
Um, so if you have a full-size oven and that's where you're going to be putting your pizza on, you can either put it on a baking pan or for a little thicker or sorry, not thicker, but I guess more crunchy crust, you can put it directly on the oven rack. I'm gonna actually use my toaster oven because it's conveniently right here next to me, and we'll put that on broil in a little bit just to kind of get that ready. So checking on my dough again. So sometimes too, I'll kind of flip it back and forth between sides. So like once
Yeah.
both sides are no longer doughy and we want to kind of caramelize it, crisp it up again, I might do another flip so that they get another round of toasting.
And as long as you don't burn it, I mean, you really probably can't overcook it, right?
Exactly. There's no dairy, there's no eggs in this, so you can spend quite a bit of time. I think I was pretty lenient on saying like around 3 to 5 minutes per
Uh-huh.
side, but it could be longer. We could get up to like, 8 minutes of solid time per side. So
And if people didn't cook toppings ahead of time, they could probably just build their pizza on the dough and then put it in the oven at like 375 for 15 minutes or so, and that would crisp up the crust even more.
yeah, definitely. Yeah, that's a good tip too. So if you have like raw veggies or something and you didn't get around to sauteing those or getting those ready ahead of time, you can still add those to the pizza. You'll just let it slowly bake off versus what we're going to do is we're kind of give it a little flash of heat with a boil and broil, and then that's just going to help melt and kind of bring all the ingredients together. So getting my veggies staged here, and then I'm going to get my cheese out. I have that sitting in the fridge right now. Okay. All right, we are coming along here. I'm going to check on my crust again. Oh yeah. So, all right, this is a good example of like what I like it to look like when it's just about done. It's I don't want it to fall the pan, but that's what we're getting a little
Oh
speckles,
yeah,
but it's kind of like a crusty
yeah.
brown type color. So it's gonna have more integrity that way. You could take it out early and it'll just be a softer pizza, but I'm gonna flip it one more time, get the other side a little bit more, and then we will get to the toppings. So this is one thing we like to teach the kids at Edible Education Experiences, mise en place, getting all of our ingredients in their place, getting them ready for each step of the recipe. So I'm aligning my cheese. I have a non-dairy cheese I'm using. I have my mushrooms and my zucchini. And then I got my mason jar of the pesto we just made.
I can't wait. I'm not feeding anyone else at my household, but I think I'm going to be making at least 2 of these for myself.
Oh, good.
They look so good.
I'm so pleased. How's your crust coming along? Are you
Good.
pretty
It's
set?
looking. Yep. So this is one side, and then I flipped it like you did, and I think it's happening on the other side.
That
So
looks really good.
yeah,
Yeah.
I think we're there.
Cool. All right, so it's turning off the stove. Always have to remember to do that. Sometimes I get carried away with the next step and I forget to turn off the stove. Okay. So let's get a spoon, and I'm just going to spoon my pesto right on the center of the pizza. Are we doing okay on time? Oh, we're getting close. Imagine
Yeah, we have about
that.
12 minutes, but that's okay. It'll
Okay.
just be a few minutes of broil, and we can talk about
Yeah.
where to find the recipe and that kind of stuff while it's doing that. So you're good.
Perfect. Okay.
That's what I said. It flies. You
I
wouldn't
know.
think that almost an hour has gone by. And if you're making this at home, like I said, we're doing a lot of talking, but you can make this recipe in under 30 minutes. So it's a really quick, yummy, healthy weeknight dinner to have in your arsenal.
Definitely. Yeah, if you stay super focused and don't talk to anyone else, you can definitely get this done quickly.
Maybe if you have someone else at home and they're doing the dishes while you're cooking, it'll go a little
That's right.
faster too.
All right, so I did my pesto. I'm now gonna add my mushrooms. Make it nice and pretty.
Oh, yum. Looks so good.
Got my zucchini.
And if people didn't have cheese or want to add cheese, you could probably just eat it like this with the arugula salad on top and call
Oh
it a
yeah,
day.
definitely. Yeah, and if you don't you can tolerate dairy, go for I would say like a harder cheese like a feta or maybe a buffalo mozzarella or
Mm.
something. So yeah, sky's the limit on that. This is just the combo that I came up with for this particular recipe, but it is very like versatile and you can customize it any way you'd like. So yeah, now I'm adding
So,
my cheese. Oh, you have yours ready? You're going in?
well, yes, but I don't have a toaster oven, so I
Okay.
just wanted to show you what I like to do. So sometimes when I'm making pizza, I turn the baking sheet upside down and put it on the back
Nice.
side.
I
And
love that.
usually I'll put it on parchment paper, but I don't have any, so I just put a little bit of oil on the bottom just to make sure it doesn't stick.
And it kind
And
of raises the pizza too. That's good.
yeah, and that way you can just easily slide it off versus having to lift it up over that ledge if your baking sheet had a ledge.
Very smart. I'm learning so much. All right. So now the hard part. We have to wait for the
Oh my
pizza to
gosh.
kind of melt. So we'll just give it a minute or two. It is on broil, so make sure you don't step away from your oven. That's easy to do too, to get distracted and then
For
next
sure.
thing you know. So I'm getting my arugula out.
So while we're waiting for the pizza to finish cooking,
Yes.
just wanted to thank everyone who was tuning in, maybe cooking along with us. If you did make your pizza either now or later when you're watching this. Tag us at Fit Let Me Eats and Sarah at Edible Ambition because we would
Yes.
love to see your pizza creation. So tag us and share it with us. And super fun having you, Sarah, on the live tonight. I
Yeah,
cannot
thank you,
wait
Carly.
to dive in to dinner. And if you guys didn't catch the recipe, you can go to fitlandeats.com and grab the recipe there. Just search garden pizza. And if you are interested in cooking more and you enjoyed tonight, I also have a virtual cooking class happening next Wednesday, all about barbecue
Ooh.
basics. So you can go to my Instagram profile. The link is there. It'll take you to Eventbrite, and you can sign up for that. We're going to be making delicious cauliflower, garbanzo bean veggie burgers and
Oh my
butter
gosh.
baking. And
Yum.
every time I put this cobbler on a cooking class menu, people always ask for the recipe, and I purposefully have not put it on the blog because that alone gets people to my classes.
Oh
It's
my
so
gosh.
good. I'm so excited.
Yay. That
Okay,
sounds
let me make
fun.
sure my pizza's not burning. Do you have any final thoughts, Sarah, for everyone who's watching this video?
Well, I mean, yeah, thank you guys for all tuning in. This is my first Instagram live, full disclaimer. I've done
Really? You
so
did
many
awesome.
lives. I've done a lot of Zoom classes, and we do that, of course, right now at Edible Education Experience with the kids. We're doing summer camp, a virtual series. So I've
Yeah.
had a lot of screen time, but I haven't necessarily had it live on this portal on Instagram. So really excited to be here, and hopefully can tune into some of your classes and either further collaborations down the road. So
For sure.
very happy to be here.
Yes, awesome. Deacon,
So,
my dog, is waiting patiently for the
oh,
pizza
he
too. He
smells
can smell
it. He's so cute. I've seen him on your
it.
page before. Is he a lab?
He is a lab mix, yes.
Oh,
I'm not sure what else he's mixed with. I rescued him when he was a year old, but
I love
he
that.
is a lover for sure.
So sweet. Yeah, everyone check on your pizza. Make sure nothing's burning yet. Mine's just about there.
I can't tell you how many times I've had something broiling and it feels like 2 seconds goes by, and then I look again and it's charred and
Yeah,
burnt on the top.
I've done that to broccoli before. The
Yeah,
little broccoli trees just shrunk down to just a little ball of charcoal
yeah.
almost. Yeah. And then sometimes I do one thing I forgot to mention as a final garnish. I'm a big fan of like presentation. We eat with our eyes first, so I will do a little zest of lemon on top of the arugula kind of salad mix. If you have access to like a microplane or some kind of zester, you can. If not, even just a slice of lemon sometimes looks pretty with that as presentation, but
I love that.
totally up to you.
Um, in culinary school, they taught us some about food photography, and they always recommended cracking some black pepper at the end because that
Yeah,
black kind of speckles, you want it to
pops.
really, yeah, it just totally pops, whether you're looking at it or you're taking a picture of it or whatever. Um, so the lemon zest kind of does that same thing, just
Yeah,
added
absolutely.
dimension.
All about the color. All right, I think my pizza's done.
Oh my
How's
gosh,
yours
this
looking?
looks amazing and it smells even better.
Okay, so this is mine. I'll kind of show you guys. I got my little baby pizza there. I'm gonna
Looks
put it
so
down on the cutting
good.
board. All right.
Yum.
Oh, very nice. That looks great. And then we'll add our nice little arugula salad mix.
It is so green
I
and
know.
pretty,
I
but
have a problem when it comes to green things. I have to have the more the better for me.
it is. But let me tell you, for those of you who are healthy food skeptics, this is not going to be any form of like rabbit food. It is going to be so
No,
decadent and so flavorful with that pesto and the melty cheese. It's going to satisfy every sensation and craving you have, I promise.
totally. And yeah, with those healthy fats from the seeds we use in the pesto to whatever cheese you choose to use, that richness kind of balances any of the veggies and gives you kind of that satisfying, more I don't know, more kind of gluttonous flavor profile, I guess you could say.
For sure. Okay, so I'm not gonna taco style my pizza on camera because that could go real wrong real fast. I also went very heavy handed with the topping, so I feel like it's probably a little top heavy. But I have to try this before we jump off because it looks so good. Look at that bite. I mean,
Yum.
Mm,
All right.
so good.
All right. We are really doing a good job with this 60-minute timer. We're down to the last few minutes. But there's my little
Uh-huh.
baby slice. Give you guys a little close up.
I love it. You nailed
So,
it. You nailed this recipe. It is so good.
mm,
The you get that like when you crave pizza, you're really craving carbs. And so you
truly,
get
yes.
you get that carby feeling from the crust, but then all of the bright and fresh flavors just lighten it up and can make you feel so good and healthy eating it.
Yeah.
It
You
is
don't hate
like,
yourself at the end of the day when you have a full mini pizza.
yeah, I will not feel bad about eating two of these. That's for
No,
sure.
have them all, you know? It's a great snack or meal for sure.
Well, thank you so much for sharing your recipe and all of your knowledge and cooking with
Oh, you're
me on
welcome.
live. This was so much fun, and I can't wait to have you again. And don't forget, guys, follow Sarah at Edible Ambition, and you can check out the recipe on fitlivingeats.com. So, hope you guys have a
Awesome.
great night.
Thank you,
I will talk to you
Carly.
later.
This
You're
was fun.
welcome.
All right. Hope to do it again soon. Bye,
Bye.
guys.